I finally found a way to eliminate flameout completely. Not just reduce it, but eliminate it completely. It took me a while, a lot of trial and error, and if you're familiar with flameout, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you're not familiar with it, flameout is not stalling. It's not because the person isn't riding the bike correctly or anything like that. It's just something that some four-strokes are known for. KTM 350s are just notorious for flaming out. And if you came across this video because you were looking for a way to fix your 350 flameout, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you stumbled upon this video and you're not sure what the flameout is, just Google it. Just Google KTM 350 flameout, and you will see so many posts, videos, products, a lot of things out there. It's a pretty big topic with KTM 350s. But in any case, this is my video here. I eliminated it on my bike. I was pretty excited to do it, and I thought I'd share it, and hopefully all of the little things I did to eliminate my flameout will also work for you. One of the first things I did was remove the stock 14-tooth sprocket and move down to a 13-tooth sprocket. I didn't really do that for flameout reasons. I originally did that just for trail riding. I do trail riding and enduros, and I like that gearing better. Then later on I read that can help you reduce flameout. I didn't notice any difference. I don't think going to a smaller sprocket worked for me. So the first real adjustment I made in attempt to reduce flameout was to turn up my idle. It's really simple to do. I'm surprised I didn't see it in a manual anywhere. I guess it's in there, but I didn't see it anywhere. But a buddy of mine told me about it. Your choke, you usually pull that out when you're trying to do a cold start. While it's in, if you just turn it clockwise about 5 or 6 clips, and that'll increase your idle. I think the idea behind this adjustment is having a higher idle RPM means when you cut the throttle, the engine doesn't have to rev down quite as far to reach idle, and then when you crack the throttle open, it doesn't have as far to go from idle back up to full throttle. I guess that's the idea behind it. I'm not sure. I did that adjustment. I noticed a little bit of improvement. Not a whole lot, but I could tell an improvement. I just can't say exactly how much. So the next thing I did after turning up the throttle was to adjust my TPS, the throttle position sensor. My bike TPS started off at 0.574. I turned it up to 0.640. This isn't really that hard to do. I made a separate video for that to go over it in detail, but it is not a hard procedure if you have the correct tool. Apparently they're all set a little bit different. But anyway, I turned mine up from 0.574 to 0.640, and that made a big difference in flameout. That reduced my flameout by 60%. I've been testing my flameout and adjustments on a 1 mile test section that I have. It's a very rocky, technical, tight section, and when I go through that section twice, my bike will usually flame out 6 times. So it's a 1 mile section. When I go through it twice back to back, the bike typically will flame out 6 times. After I did the TPS adjustment, I ran through the section multiple times, and that reduced it from an average of 6 times down to about 2.5 times. So it's about a 60% reduction in flameout. So that was a big difference. I was really excited about that, but I wanted to go more. I wanted to try to eliminate flameout completely. My goal was to at least reduce my flameout by 90%, but ultimately I was hoping to eliminate flameout completely. So the next thing I tried was a clutch weight. It works like a flywheel weight, but it goes on your clutch side, so it's called a clutch weight. And I think the idea here is that when you cut the throttle, the inertia of the engine is going to keep spinning, so that when you crack the throttle back on again, it's going to keep that inertia that's built up with that weight is going to allow the engine to just want to keep rolling and without shutting off. So I put this thing on. It was very easy to put on, very quick and easy to put on. So I put it on, had big hopes for it. I went out, and that thing really increased flameout ridiculously. By the time it was done with that flywheel or clutch wheel weight, it was flaming out more than it was when I first started. Now, in defense of the people that make this product, on their website, they do say that you're supposed to buy this clutch weight and also send your ECU to them to have it remapped. They claim when you do that, you're going to reduce your flameout by over 90%. And I didn't send the ECU in to get it remapped or reflashed because with this clutch weight and the ECU, they're still not guaranteeing that there's no flame out. But I thought I'd give the clutch weight a try, and I also did not like the responsiveness that was lost. Really tight technical stuff. You'd crack the throttle, and it just was a little bit sluggish. You didn't really notice it until you were really trying to go to race pace, and then you start to notice it, and it got a little bit frustrating. But anyway, I'm not saying it's a bad product. It just didn't work in my particular application. I removed the clutch weight. So the next thing I moved on to was the exhaust tip. I heard that there's a screen in there that you can remove that will really wake up the bike and also reduce flame out. And so I don't have a video of this. I didn't videotape these next two things I did with exhaust tip because honestly I didn't think they'd really work. So I'm just kind of reenact it here for this video. So the first thing I did was there's a screen on this exhaust tip, and if you remove that screen, it'll really wake the bike up by allowing more exhaust flow. And if you're worried about spark arresters, from what all the forum engineers say, there's a spark arrestor deeper down in the muffler, and the screen that I'm going to remove here is not a spark arrestor screen. It's simply a noise screen for noise reduction. So anyway, remove the exhaust tip. I pulled the screws out. Mine are screwed on. I know some are riveted on. You might have to drill out rivets, whatever you got to do. Pull out the screws. The exhaust tip doesn't want to come right out. You have to take a rubber mallet to it, or a dead blow hammer or something like that, and just knock it out. But once you get it out, it's pretty easy to see what you have to do. This is what you'll find inside. Inside your exhaust tip is this metal pipe with a screen on it. Now again, you can see the screen is kind of already attached. I had removed it before. I'm just kind of reenacting it here. And it's just held on by some hose clamps. They're the factory style hose clamps. You just got to cut those off. But pull the screen off, and it comes right off. I took it off without damaging it in case I wanted to ever put it back on. I also drilled a couple holes. You can see right there, I drilled a couple holes in the bottom plate at the end of that pipe, hoping to get a little bit more exhaust flow. I don't think that made that much of a difference. But anyway, I put that back on the bike just like that with just the screen out, and it really did wake up the bike. It woke up the bike a lot. I got a lot more power, a lot more responsiveness. It sounded kind of neat too. It sounded a little throatier. I mean, if you're looking for something like that, but the performance on it was a big difference just by removing that little screen. Made a huge difference in performance, but I still had the same amount of flame out. So the next thing from there, I was considering buying some of these high flow exhaust tips. There's several companies that make them. They run anywhere from like 130 to, I think a lot of them are like 160. There's some that are over $200. And I saw these high flow exhaust tips, and when you look at pictures of them, basically look like an exhaust tip with nothing in them. They're just like that exhaust cap. So what I did is I, instead of spending $160 or more on one of those, I thought, well, how about if I just cut that pipe off, kind of gut mine, and if it doesn't work, then I'll buy an OEM one and put it back on. An OEM one is, I think, $80 or something. It's still way overpriced if you ask me, but it's cheaper than buying a high flow one. So next thing I did was I took the exhaust tip off again, and this time I took a Sawzall and cut a reciprocating saw, cut the metal bracket that holds that pipe in, and I was able to jam the blade of the saw down in there and actually cut that pipe off. I tried getting a Dremel tool in the hole right there, but that wasn't working too well. The Sawzall was easiest, and I cut it out. It doesn't look that great. I mean, the hole's not, you can see it's not cut real even or anything like that, but at this point I wasn't trying to get it perfect. I just wanted to kind of a proof of concept type thing to see if it would work. So anyway, I reinstalled that, as you see it right there. I put the screws back in, fired up the bike. Sounded cool, sounded great. Took it out for a ride, and that last step right there was the last thing I did to the bike, and it completely eliminated my flame out. So after that, my first test ride, I took it on a 15-mile test ride. I went through the same section that I go through all the time with my testing. Went through the section 3 times, I think. It never even flamed out. So after that, I started hitting some other areas that I ride, some other trails that I know where it always flames out, like sometimes going down a hill or popping up over a hill. Some slow speed stuff. I was hitting all the same areas I always hit before that caused the bike to flame out, and it never flamed out. Okay, yeah, I stalled it once in a while, maybe twice, but it never flamed out. And the final test on that was an enduro. I did an enduro after that, and it was I think it was a 62 or 64 mile enduro. Tight stuff, open stuff, a lot of varying terrain. Did not flame out at all, not even once. The bike runs a lot better now. I feel like it has a lot more power. It's a lot more responsive. The bike is definitely faster. I don't know if I'm any faster, but the bike is definitely faster. I'm running a lot better. So anyway, that's how I got my bike down to 0 flame out. I'm really happy with that. It took a while, a lot of trial and error. I thought it was fun. So then at the end here, just in case anyone has any doubts, I just posted a video of me going through that 1 mile section, and usually in 2 trips through it would flame out 6 times. I went through once on this video. I'm posting one video of me going through it 1 time, so that should be 3 flame outs, or at least 2 flame outs. So for anyone who's not sure if it really works, I'm just sticking that video of me going through that 1 mile section at the end, where it typically would flame out on an average of 3 times, and it didn't flame out at all. I think in this video I stall it once, maybe, or twice or something, but there's definitely no flame out. And again, if you're familiar with flame out, you know what it is. You hear a quick little pop and the engine just shuts off, and it's very different than a stall. Anyway, I hope this video helped you. I was really excited to share it. I was really excited to get rid of the flame out of my bike. Use some of these techniques that I used. Hopefully you'll have the same result. But that's about it. Now I'm just going to run the video of me running through that last section just to prove that the flame out is gone.